engineer at the controls of the Amtrak train that derailed in Philadelphia finally speaks with investigators. The NTSB is looking into every possible angle of the crash that killed 8 people, including 3 with ties to Maryland. WJZ is live with complete coverage. Investigator Mike Helgen remains on the scene in Philadelphia with new information we have learned in just the past few minutes. Mike?
Big developments, Denise, from the NTSB. They are looking into the possibility this train was hit with something, maybe even shot at. They have now called in the FBI to investigate. They did interview the engineer on the train. He doesn't remember anything beyond the crash, but the big news came with an interview from an assistant conductor, and she heard the engineer talking to his counterpart on a nearby commuter train that had just reported being struck. Then she heard the engineer say he believed their train had been struck. Then she heard rumblings, and that's when the train flew off the tracks. Here is NTSB investigator Robert Sumwalt just moments ago.
She also believed that she heard her engineer say something about his train being struck by something. This is her recollection, and certainly we're going to be conducting further investigation of this comment.
Crews removed the last of the mangled rail cars where 8 people died, including 3 with Maryland ties. The NTSB investigation is far from over. Lenny Knobs survived and spoke from his hospital bed.
That's all you could hear was screaming. It was complete chaos. It was darkness.
Just hours after the fiery derailment of Amtrak 188 you see on this surveillance video, the engineer, Brian Bostian, called his friend from the emergency room.
He's very distraught. He's very upset. And he's very sorry. I don't think there's any foul play.
Federal investigators are trying to figure out why the train's speed surged to more than 100 miles an hour, more than twice the speed limit. WJZ has learned a warrant has been issued for Bostian's cell phone records, and he has submitted to a blood test. His former co-worker.
I really believe something happened prior to him getting to that curve. We all know what the speed limits are, and it's not a mystery to us. And again, I've went up and down these rails with Brandon hundreds of times.
Authorities here say this is a criminal investigation. Although no charges have been filed, Bostian has agreed to let the NTSB interview him with his lawyer present. Amtrak is already facing one lawsuit as it works to restore service between Philadelphia and New York by Monday, while many who lived through the tragedy are now left with long-term physical and emotional scars.
You never expect to be in a catastrophe until you are. It happened so quick, I never thought it would happen to me.
So again, the big breaking news here is that the NTSB is looking at whether this train was hit with something, and the FBI has called in. They are going to examine other damage on the front of the train. They are also looking at radio communications between Amtrak 188 and a local commuter SEPTA train that reported being hit just moments before this derailment happened. Now, this crew was well versed in safety. They had a meeting about that before they left Washington, and they also went over the speed limits for the entire route. Many developments live here on the scene in Philadelphia. We'll continue to follow it for you. Reporting live, Mike Helgren, WJZ Eyewitness News.
That could have saved lives in this accident. Alex?
Yeah, Denise, it's a case of new technology and the replacing the dead man's switch. Built for speed, Amtrak passenger trains travel with one engineer and a constant electronic companion.
There is a dead man's switch in the train, and there was in this train.
And it was designed to keep this accident in Philadelphia from happening. Every 28.8 seconds, the engineer must activate the dead man's switch. It tells the train the engineer is alert and paying attention. It will even sound a loud alarm.
The problem is that it happens so automatically that it can be ignored. You can have almost like a highway hypnosis type of effect.
Baltimore attorneys Mark Rosen and Daniel Miller specialize in transportation cases. They follow safety technology, including the dead man switch's replacement, positive train control.
It's designed to eliminate the chance for trains colliding
for going off the rails.
GPS technology transmits signals from thousands of track sensors to a central computer system.
If at any time I am unable to stop the train, Positive Train Control then takes command, stops the train to prevent any type of incident or accident.
Positive Train Control isn't cheap. It cost $50,000 per mile. $5 billion has been spent so far, covering 60% of the nation's tracks.
They are doing their best, obviously, to get it done. Unfortunately, in this particular area, it wasn't done in time.
Well, regulators and the rail industry had considered making improvements to the dead man switch, but opted instead for the newer technology. Denise, back to you.
All right, thank you, Alex. Also tonight, the first of the funerals for the victims of the derailment are taking place. 20-year-old Justin Zemser, who was a sophomore at the Naval Academy, was laid to rest in his native Long Island today. More than 150 midshipmen went to New York for the service. And we invite you to stay with WJZ for complete coverage of the Amtrak derailment, the investigation, the victims, and the impact. For updates, go